Hakadosh Boker Tov. We're continuing with Siman Resh Nun Bet in Ilchot Shabbat. This is actually a very interesting siman to do with what are you allowed to start on Erev Shabbat, and it's going to be finishing on Shabbat. So it's actually brought down in Maran, you're allowed to start Asiyat Melacha on Erev Shabbat, even close to the onset of Shabbat, even though it's impossible to finish the Melacha on Erev Shabbat, but rather it continues into the day of Shabbat. Now we don't have the problem of the kelim, that our utensils are continuing, and the reason why is because since we know that a person is not commanded on Shvitat Kelav b'Shabbat, which means our utensils are allowed to work on Shabbat. One of the biggest proofs is light. If we are right now, if the light belongs to us and we turn on the light, how is the light on Erev Shabbat? Or Plata Chashmalit, fire. How could it be that I turned it on Erev Shabbat? Okay, but it's on Shabbat. How is my utensils on Shabbat? And the answer is that a person is not commanded that his utensils keep Shabbat. A person is commanded on Shvitat Behemto, on his animal, or that he's not allowed to be Mechalel Shabbat, or his family, so on and so forth. But on utensils, there is no obligation. And therefore he comes and he says, and even if the Melacha is not going to be started only doing the Peulah, which actually starts it off, it's going to be permitted, whether it's going to be the starting or the stopping, of whether it's going to be different timers and other things as well. Now, to do with Amira Legoy, right, they were actually machmirim in certain things that obviously if the goy is going to be our shaliach, so therefore they also prohibited certain things of Amira Legoy, even though he's doing it on Shabbat. Now, technically a goy is allowed to work on Shabbat, but he's allowed to. Why? Because of Zilzoul of Shabbat, which means many times a person will come and he's going to tell a goy to do something, so then what happens is that all of a sudden it's going to happen that he's going to do it himself. Because once he has the zilzul of what's going on, that he's going to be able to tell a goy, it's going to be a problem. Now, where exactly is this going to starting to become prohibited? Anything which is going to destroy the Kiddushat Shabbat or Zilzoul of Shabbat. So for example, here it brings down that if you're going to turn on, for example, with the Shaon Shabbat, the lights and off the lights, that's going to be fine. However, though, to turn on a tape recorder, or whether you're talking about machines, whether you're talking about in a factory, or whether it's any other type of machinery which is going to cause problems in the Zilzoul of Kiddushat Shabbat, it's going to be prohibited. So one of the questions that I was just asked is that they have, right, we used to have it here running around a little bit, the little tiny mouse, right, that was basically a little mop, it was a robot that used to come around and start cleaning up all the time. That somebody just asked me, Rabbi, I want to come and I want to turn it on Friday night. So it's going to be on, whether it's going to be even at 1 o'clock in the morning, are you allowed to or not? So technically speaking, mitzad halacha, strict halacha, if you're talking about, what did you do wrong? It's done by a timer. You didn't turn anything on, you didn't turn anything off, right? Technically, you're probably not even there. You're probably sleeping, right, at 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is. But the Yisur is of Zilzoul of Shabbat. The fact that you're going to have something working for you in your house, walking around, whether it is that people wake up, don't wake up, they're going to see it, that is called Ziluta de Shabbat. Once it's Ziluta de Shabbat, you're not allowed to. Which means even though you didn't do any work on Shabbat, you didn't do anything, and everything was done through a timer, it's going to be prohibited. And the same proof is going to be the entire concept of a factory. Nowadays, you could run entire factory lines on a timer. So imagine, I'm going to keep my factory open on Shabbat, everything open on Shabbat, and it's just running. And what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything, right? It was from Erev Shabbat, I had a timer, I had everything, but obviously it's going to be prohibited for the same reason. So therefore, even though certain melachot, which we'll speak about, is going to be permitted, others will be prohibited just because of the Isur of Zilut of Shabbat.